Hey everyone, greetings and welcome to this little welcoming video about Art 30C, which is ceramics history, practice, history, culture, and practice. And this video is to say hello, how much I'm excited to be working with you. I'm your professor. My name is Marc Lancet, and this is going to be a kind of an orientation. You found this video sitting on what's called your home page, which functions kind of like a syllabus inside your Canvas class structure. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works and a little bit about the class. And so we're going to go through this together. And the class is really a remarkable experience, I think, for people who are both beginning with ceramics and people who are experienced, but have been longing for some deeper information for going into ceramic traditions in a sort of deep dive fashion. So that's what we're going to be doing in this in this class. So one thing is the class is a hybrid, and that means that we will be meeting on Mondays in class face to face from 1 o'clock to 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on whether you stay for the office hour. And we'll be working on, at that time, we'll be working on all the projects, but all the history and culture and even some demonstrations on how to do techniques are all in this ceramic, in this canvas shell that you're in right now. And so you'll come here to do the studies that you need to do to succeed in class. So I'm going to go through it with you together. But first, did I mention how excited I am to be working with you? We're going to be doing some great things, and I have selected 4 ceramic traditions which are really amazing, stunning, wonderful. And we're going to just get into each one of them as to some degree, and each one of them could be a total lifetime career as a ceramic artist. So let me start with showing you a few things that we'll be doing. I'm going to step back here because the first project we're going to be doing is an African pot. And that gets a little bit large, as you can see. This is a pretty big pot. And I'm going to teach you how to make these. And the way we start them is kind of interesting. They're called spherical. I call them spherical pots. It's one way to kind of to indicate one thing that's quite wonderful about the African pottery tradition. So we're going to start by building what you see here, which is we're going to build from the middle to the bottom. And we're going to put a little foot on there. So we're going to build a hemisphere from the middle of the pot to the bottom. And then we're going to let it dry everywhere but at the very middle here. And then we're going to keep that damp a little bit. And then when the rest of this is dry enough to support its weight, we'll flip it over and we'll finish the top. And what you'll do then is you will go and you'll coil, it's a heavy pot, you'll coil up the rest of the sphere. And that's what I require, is I require you to make it spherical to begin with. And then what you do at the top is up to you. Whether you do, this is a kind of long neck, you could do a very short neck, you could do a flared neck, you can do all kinds of things. You can even make it into a drum. I'll show you how that's done. There's a special drum kind of form you can make. So this is, and the other area where it's up to you completely, is what texture you decide to put on it. And I've demonstrated in this canvas shell. I have many demonstrations about textures, and I will demonstrate some in class. So here it is again. This is the African spherical pot that we'll be making. Set this down. Oh, that's probably the biggest piece we'll be making. And we will be studying about the African tradition. I have lots of videos for you to watch and some articles for you to read. And so you can learn about, there's many different tribes throughout Africa, and each of them is known for their own kind of ceramics. And it's an endlessly enriching area of study. The pots are beautiful. The techniques are amazing. The tradition is fabulous, and you'll be able to get deeply into it with the articles and the videos that I provide. That's the first tradition we'll be exploring. And then the second tradition is called mimbres. And here is this is not an original Mimbres, this is this is my version of a Mimbres pot. And so there, as you can see, they're very kind of narrow bowls, almost plates. And so you'll be making one of these, and then you'll be doing some ornate decorating. And in this case, I'm kind of using a Mimbres lizard theme, and I'm really mimicking some of that. But at the same time, I've done some crazy stuff. I have a little human in here, and you can see the tail ends with 3 bombs in it. So it's a little bit of a contemporary take on the Mimbres pot. One of the things that all Mimbres pots have is a very ornate rim. You can see how detailed these designs are on the rim of the pot. And then there's either an animal, human, or sometimes just a pure geometric pattern on the inside, and it's black on white. So we're going to learn how to do Mimbres pots, and we'll learn about the Mimbres culture, which existed in right almost on the border of Mexico, in New Mexico to Mexico, in a little valley from 200 AD to about 1100 AD, and then they disappeared. And from 900 to 1100, they made these pots, and these are stunning pots. I've got lots of examples for you to look at, some videos to watch on that subject as well. But in both these cases, it's really kind of interesting. In the case of the African pottery, there's lots to learn and lots to read about, but it is a little bit difficult because the tribes that make the pots are not, they're larger than the borders of the countries. The delineations of this is, this is the Congo, and this is Nigeria, and this is that's one thing, but the tribes, they're just wherever they're located. And so sometimes it's hard for scholars to really pin down who's doing what when. And so you'll see a little bit of that as you research this whole thing, as you see the material that I've provided for you. Then you have the Mimbres, which I said is also, it's the Mimbres. There's a lot of scholars that look into African pottery. There's a lot of scholars that have given us information about the Mimbres. But again, the Mimbres disappeared in the 1100s, and that's kind of before a lot of written history, certainly in that area in the 1100s in the United States. So mostly the history we have is through the pottery we found. So that's kind of wonderful in its own right, but you'll see lots of interesting ideas in the videos that I provide. The third tradition is the Japanese tea bowl. And we will be making a black raku tea bowl. And here's an example of the kind of black raku glaze that we'll be using. This is one that I've developed. And it's really a lovely, lovely surface, and it makes for a very beautiful and contemplative experience. And you can see behind me, there's quite a different few variations on the idea of tea bowl. And so, I'm very serious about tea bowls. I love making all of these different kinds of ceramics that we're going to be exploring. And the tea ceremony is a particular love of mine. So we're going to learn a lot about that. And in this case, there is endless amount of information. There's very little confusion. It's well documented. And there are literally thousands of books on tea ceremony, not so many in the English language, but there's thousands of books on the tea ceremony and on tea bowls and on Zen Buddhism, where it comes from. And here's the book we're going to be reading. So you're going to get a copy of this book anytime. This is called The Japanese Tea Ceremony, Cha no Yu, and the Zen Art of, gotta read it here, mindfulness. So it's a really thorough book. It's a fabulous book, and it's really one of the best in the English language on the subject. So you're going to be able to pick that up. You can buy it in the bookstore. There's some copies there. You can also buy it online, and you should be able to find a used copy for quite a discount, which is one of the advantages of going online there. So we read 2 books. That's one of them that we'll be reading. And that'll help you, along with, there's numerous videos on this canvas shell to give you a sense of the pottery of tea ceremony and of the tea ceremony itself. And you're going to watch all of those and really get some wonderful sense of this deep tradition of the Japanese tea ceremony. So very excited that you're going to be able to get into that very deeply. We're going to enjoy that. And of course, after we make all our tea bowls, we will raku fire them together, and we will have a tea ceremony together. So that'll be a really great experience. You'll be able to drink tea with your own bowl, with your classmates. And I should add, these kinds of experiences add to the whole experience in class, where you become a kind of bonded community. You're a community of artists, and you're going to go through the African experience, you're going to go through the Mimbres experience, through the Japanese tea bowl experience. All of these times, you're going to be working side by side and helping each other and learning together. And it really is quite a communal environment. And I guarantee you this class will be unlike any other I've taught, because you're in it. And each of you, what you bring to the class makes it quite unique and of value in its own way. So that gives you an idea of 3 out of 4 of the traditions. The last tradition that we are going to be exploring is the face jug. The face jug is, to me, a fascinating form, and it's kind of what it sounds like. It's a little jug. This is a little smaller than typical, but it's about the size that they were originated. They might have made them a little bit bigger than this. This may be a little bit small, but pretty close to the size. And this is a more abstract variation that I've done here. And the thing about face jugs is that they were invented, we kind of know exactly when. The first one in the United States showed up in 1858, and it was made by a kidnapped African who was put into slavery in a pottery in Edgefield, South Carolina. And which to me is a miraculously astonishing celebration or appreciation of human tenacity and resilience and the power of the human creative spirit under all that trauma, under all that horror of an individual being kidnapped from his culture in Africa, thrown into the bottom of a boat where he suffered for weeks and weeks and weeks as he made the crossing, the transatlantic crossing, and landed in Georgia in 1858, a little over 50 years after slave ships were completely outlawed in the United States. But smuggling is smuggling, so they brought them in, and there were 400 kidnapped Africans that were put into slavery. They landed in Georgia, and then they spread out through the Carolinas. And so one of those people made a face jug, and you can experiment with them. You can, like, I'm showing you some examples of some more abstract pieces that I've made with the idea. This has got the handle that can make it a jug for drinking. Got some teeth to it. You can see I do some more abstract kind of variation on the ears and the nose and such. I never can make an ear the same size, but the face jug is something that I really enjoy making, and I enjoy reading about the tradition and thinking about the resilience and the power of the human creativity that under all of those tremendously difficult situations, this potter was able to create a face jug, to invent a whole form of ceramics. So we'll explore that. And that will be the last book that we read, which is Hear Me Now. And this is about the potters of Edgefield, the black potters of old Edgefield, South Carolina. And in there, they have examples of face jugs and talk about that. It's from an exhibition that happened, that's traveled from New York, and it's a really great read. It's very well written, and there's lots and lots of wonderful pictures, and you'll be able to learn a lot about that. So those are the 2 books that we're going to read, along with the articles that I have in your Canvas class. So you're going to basically get started with this class by opening it up and going through this where you are now, which is this is the homepage, kind of the syllabus telling you about what class is involved in. And then you just move to the modules and you go down through those. And you just click on the top and you read that and you go through. And so there's some discussions and exercises, like there is a discussion where you're asked to introduce yourself. And that's a really important one to do early on. And it asks you some questions about yourself and you put that up, and then you read about your classmates, and then you go and you comment on each of their entries. So you kind of get a little bit of knowledge about each other and get to know each other a little bit. So that is one of the introduction, that's the introducing yourself thing. And then as you're moving down through that introduction to the class module, when the first module, you'll also come across something called inspirations, which is a place where I ask you to put in about 10 quotes, favorite quotes that you might have about art, creativity, any of the ceramic cultures that we're studying, any related things about being an artist, or any thoughts you have. It can be anything you think is important. Perhaps you'll want to talk about the idea of awe, or you'll want to talk about the idea of using a sketchbook. Who knows what you'll want to present? But those will be, you'll find those in under inspiration. You'll be asked to post in there 10 different things. And it's a couple of them I want you to actually quote yourself rather than finding quotes that are inspirational from other people. And it's easy to find quotes. If you don't have favorite quotes that you're keeping and holding on to, you just pick a topic that you're interested in and write, go to Google, write that topic, write quotation, and you'll see hundreds of, if not thousands of quotes to sift through and find something that you think will be meaningful to your class. So there's that one. And you just move it, and then you'll get into, there's a whole section on ceramic basics. And then you get into the first module, which is the African spherical pot. And you start working your way through that, watching the videos, reading the articles, answering the quizzes, and just moving through that. That's what we'll be doing. So that's kind of how the class works. In the first day of class, I'll talk to you about the tools you need, where to get the clay, what kind of clay. And so that's all coming up. If you have any questions about using the Canvas, this class structure, at the very bottom of the modules, there's an introduction, there's a kind of a tutorial on how to use Canvas and use modules. So if you need that, you're welcome to do that. You don't have to. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask me in class. You can ask me, as when you see me every week. You can ask me, you can save it for the end of class and ask me in the office hour, or you can send me an email at marc.lancet@solano.edu. And that's marc.lancet@solano.edu. And just send me an email and I can answer you back. This Canvas class structure has an inbox email structure where you can send me emails directly through that. You just click on where it says inbox, and then you click on the little emoji that says, shows writing an email, and you can start that way. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think I may have mentioned that. It's going to be a really great time. We meet once a week. We have the greatest time exploring our creative capacity as human beings. And we get to do that together all the way through spring until the middle or towards the end of May. So I'm really excited about our being able to do that. So here we go. We're going to do this. So until I see you, stay safe and get ready to make lots of great art.